Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Today's episode is all about finding the truth about reverse mortgages and what a powerful tool it can be for retirees as well as for real estate agents. So stay tuned for that. I would invite you that if you're listening to this and you have questions about reverse mortgages, I'm fortunate to have a good friend of mine on the show today, Mr. Jeff Foody, who can answer about any question that you have about these. So let me first start by saying, Jeff, thanks for coming on the show today.
Of course, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's going to be fun. So for those that don't know Jeff, he's out of Portland, Oregon. For the past 17 years, he's been doing only reverse mortgages. Day and practically night. This guy does a lot of them and knows all about them. So he'll be able to speak the truth to us about this at times controversial topic. So, and I would say that just recently, Jeff, you just started your own reverse only brokerage. Tell us the name of that.
Northwest Reverse Mortgage. I'm not terribly creative. So I'm in the Northwest. I do reverse mortgages. Made it pretty simple and easy.
Let's just keep it simple, man. I love it. No frills about it. Let's just cut to the chase. So really quick, Jeff, this is something that you probably weren't prepared for, but I know we're good enough friends that you'll forgive me. So I know you are a family man, and this is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show, which we don't just talk about real estate. We actually talk about actually how to have a big life as well. I know you are a loving husband and a great father. Tell me, with Father's Day just on our heels, behind us, rearview mirror, there we go. What's your favorite thing about being a dad?
This may sound a little funny, but I think my favorite thing about being a dad is the do-over. You know, I look at my children as a second chance in life. You know what I mean? I look at them and I see, you know, my son's playing sports, and I see my daughter doing her drawing, and I kind of look at them and their lives thinking that they're my chance to contribute better to the world. If I raise them right, I make them to be good humans. Hopefully, they'll be able to contribute to this world more than what I was able to do in myself. I have 3 kids, so I have multiplied more than just myself and my wife, and hopefully be able to add some good things to the world. So watching them grow up in this world and see the things that they do and see their accomplishments makes me very proud. I like being able to see. I'm fortunate enough to have 3 wonderful children that are just really good human beings, and so that's the joy that I have, is being able to see what they're doing with their own lives.
I love it, man. Great stuff. I always learn from dads like you. I've seen you around your family, and it's inspiring to have someone who is a big time producer, actually creating a really great value proposition to the marketplace. Yet you go home and you're second place to your wife, and
second place, yeah,
and show up big as a dad. So thanks for sharing that. I know for this audience, again, we aspire to not just be successful, but to also be significant. So appreciate you sharing that. Let's delve into the topic. We live in an era of 24-hour news cycle. We live in an era where there are endless amounts of media outlets clamoring for our attention, because that's how they make money, and putting out controversial headlines that oftentimes don't tell the whole story. Like, they never tell the whole story, right?
No.
And they simply position those headlines to be set up in such a degree that it gets your attention. The problem is, we tend to be skimmers. I don't know if you're like me, but I don't oftentimes read the entire article. I read headlines and a few parts of it, but oftentimes don't get to the whole story, which creates a real problem when news outlets, again, are giving us just the controversial part and not telling us the whole story. And then we've got an audience of people that aren't reading the whole story, that people walk around town thinking that they're educated on what's happening in the world, when they're really just educated on what the media company needed to bait them with to get them to pay attention long enough to sell them advertising. So would you agree with that assumption?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, there is so much that I see that people will get a glimpse of something that they've read on. I mean, when people's news sources are social media posts from other people, that tells you the level of information that they're getting. I try to teach since we were talking about my kids earlier, I try to teach my kids, you've got to go to the source. You've got to go to the source of information. Otherwise, listening to what your aunt's cousin's brother-in-law who took one law class, going to them for paralegal or estate planning, no, you've got to be able to go to a reputable source who actually knows what they're talking about. And you actually have to take the time to gather information to be able to form your own opinion. And that is a completely foreign concept in our world. I agree with you 100%. It is, show me a quick headline, show me a quick, people don't even go to, even on Facebook and social media, people don't even read the articles. They see the article and then they go right to the comments section and then they form their opinion. Like they don't even read what's there. I mean, we have become so desensitized to getting information. I completely agree with you.
So I would say that there are one of the topics or one of the products, I guess you could say, or offerings in the marketplace that is oftentimes misunderstood is that of reverse mortgages, to which you've built a profession, and your, again, value is based on helping people of a certain age be able to access equity that they otherwise wouldn't be able to access. Talk to us a little bit about reverse mortgages. Really quick, for those that don't know, 30 seconds or less, kind of what is a reverse mortgage? And then let's get into how oftentimes they're misunderstood.
Okay, so let me give it as quick as I can. A reverse mortgage is typically a way for, simply, it's a government program that allows seniors to access a percentage of the equity in their home without having to make payments on it or repay it as long as they're living in the home. They're just deferring the payments. Okay. So to simplify it as much as I can, if you look at a traditional 30-year loan, traditional mortgages, what we know is traditional mortgages. If you buy a $300,000 house, take out a $300,000 mortgage, 30 years later, your balance is going to be zero. If you make your payments every month, after 30 years, your balance is zero. But during the course of that time, you're making principal and interest payments. After 30 years, you don't pay back $300,000. You end up paying back like $650,000. But we as consumers accept that that's the way mortgages work, that a portion goes towards principal, a portion goes towards interest. A reverse mortgage works exactly the same way, except instead of making the payments every month, you just defer the payments. So you may borrow $300,000 up front. 30 years later, you may owe $650,000, but you don't make the payments between here and there. So you're just deferring the payments, and the payment will be paid at the end. So that's all that a reverse mortgage is, simply deferring the mortgage payments until usually the sale of the house, which in most cases usually happens upon the death of the borrowers.
Talk to us, Jeff, about why this is such an important solution in today's time and era.
Well, it's probably not going to surprise anybody. I hope it doesn't. That we are a country of consumers. We have a debt problem. Our seniors, in particular, have problems with. They are ill prepared for retirement. I have plenty of statistics and plenty of articles that have been posted about baby boomers and their lack of retirement planning. The biggest concern that most seniors have is not death, it's not taxes, it's living beyond their means. They plan for retirement, they plan when they're going to retire, how much money they think they need to have to retire, and then they find out that they're living way beyond what they expected to be able to live beyond. And the cost of living has increased so much that they find themselves in a financial pinch. So the reverse mortgage was a program that was created by Congress. It's an FHA program, allows them to pull out some of the equity in their own homes to use for whatever it is that they need. They can spend the money on anything that they want. So it can be part of retirement planning. It can be a part of long-term care. It can be a way to pay for in-home care facilities, whatever it is that they need, but it allows them to be able to access the equity in their home. Because currently, there's really only three ways to access the equity in your home. You take out a loan, which if you're living on a fixed income and you're 70 years old, that may be difficult to qualify for. And then if you do qualify, you have to make payments every month. So that may not be a very good option. Option two is you can sell the house. You get 100% of the equity if you do it that way. But then what are you going to do? Or three, you do a reverse mortgage or a home equity line, something like that, to be able to access the equity in your home. So this is simply a way to get the money out without having to make payments every month.
Love it. Yeah, there's it's no mystery that the baby boomers, like the rate at which they're retiring and the way that they're, as a whole, right, not speaking individually, but as a whole, are ill prepared for retirement. And with the length of life extending, right? In fact, I was talking with a friend of mine who's a financial advisor, and he said that they're now, when they're writing life insurance policies for young children, I can't remember the exact terminology for it, but the life expectancy is like 120 years. Now we're like, what? I've never heard of anybody living 120 years. But by the time that child gets up to be that point, there's a risk, you might call it, that the person is actually going to live that long because of the way technology is going and the way that we're learning more about health and how to take care of our bodies. I thought that was interesting, that like this problem isn't getting any smaller as more and more people are working less. And I would say even an entire generation is being somewhat displaced in the workforce because technology has taken such a quick ramp up into and infiltrating all forms of the work sector, that there's an entire group that are being forced to retire that maybe aren't ready to retire. They just don't have the skill set or interest in learning the new skill set to adapt to this new technology, technologically advanced world in which we live. So here we are, right? We've got this challenge, this problem of people needing to be better prepared for retirement or be able to manage or to have cash flow through retirement. So I appreciate you sharing what you shared there. Let's delve into this topic of what are some of the headlines, or in fact, I'm sure that like behind every lie, there's a little bit of truth, right? So some point in time, like reverse mortgages maybe weren't the best product. Can you talk about that a little bit to maybe validate the fact that it has always been the way it is now?
So this program today is the reverse mortgage is the terminology is the home equity conversion mortgage. That's the technical term. That's been around since 1989, which is when Congress originally created this program. Before that, say 1988 earlier, there was insurance companies in particular were known for doing this. They treated it kind of like an annuity where you would give up the house, they'd let you live in the house, maybe they would give you payments, and then when they passed away, they would keep the home. That was way back in 1988 and earlier. That hasn't happened since then. But that's the stigma that people still have. People still think, oh, well, I give up the title to my house. No, you don't. It's just a loan. It's just a mortgage, right? So that's one of the biggest misconceptions. When I talk to people, and I teach a lot of classes, I've done some classes with you, I always draw a line of demarcation in the sand, right? I always say 2014 is when they passed the Reverse Mortgage Stabilization Act. If you haven't heard about reverse mortgages since 2014, and there's actually even been some more significant changes in 2017, it is an entirely different program. Like it other than having the name and the fact that you don't have to make payments, it's had an incredible facelift. It's an entirely different program. But people still have the misconception. They think they're not going to have any equity left in the house, and they think that they're giving up the title to their house. Those are the two biggest misconceptions. I've created on our website a couple of videos that are specifically to combat the myths and misconceptions. Most of my job, I would say 80% of my job is education. Like I am the world's worst salesman. Like there is no selling on reverse mortgages. It is, I'm going to educate you about what this program is. If it fits your needs, I don't have to sell anything because it fits your needs. If it doesn't fit your needs, there's no way I'm going to convince you that it's a good idea for you. It's that simple. Here's what the program is. Get information, get educated about how it works, and either it fills a need for you or it doesn't fill a need for you. But the problem is nobody takes the time to actually get the information. They'll talk to someone who's in the mortgage industry, the real estate industry, and they heard some story about someone sometime, and they heard reverse mortgages are bad 5, 10, 15 years ago. And so now they don't want to consider doing a reverse mortgage. Well, I have a news for you. This is a government program, which means it changes all the time. It is not remotely close to the same thing that it was even 5 years ago. And so it is important that people understand the options that are available to them. Reverse mortgages are still gaining in popularity. 7 years ago, people didn't even talk about, mortgage companies didn't even talk about reverse mortgages. Now you hear about them all the time. There's a reason for that, because they're becoming more popular, because they are fulfilling a need in society. The reason that FHA continues to make changes to the program to make it more sustainable is because they realize that this program is necessary. The FHA commissioner, Brian Montgomery, is a huge advocate of reverse mortgages. And he even shares the story that his own mom has a reverse mortgage. These are a program that are going to be around for a long time because our baby boomers need this program. Yeah. But I just urge people, get information. And that's the problem. Where do they go for information, right? That's the same thing with just about anything now. what is the source that people are getting for the information? You can't trust a lot of the sources that you wish you could trust, that just blithely say, like the whole topic of conversation here is these websites, these newspapers, articles even, that or television that says here's the story about reverse mortgage. They don't care about disseminating proper information. They care about getting people to listen.
Yep.
They don't care what they have to say. They want viewers, they want readers, they want sensationalism. They want to share some horror story about reverse mortgages to make it sound like this is a terrible thing so that people will listen in. And in reality, if you look through the information, it's not at all true.
Let's share an example of that, because again, there's no shortage of headlines.
No.
Right? Share with us an example of one. I actually sent you one this past week. I'm like, Jeff, we got to combat this, man. This is give me an example of a headline.
Yeah, so this is just last week. This was on USA Today, and the title of the article is "Seniors Were Sold a Risk-Free Retirement with Reverse Mortgages. Now they face foreclosure." That's the title. So I would assume, in listening to this, that because of a reverse mortgage, their house was foreclosed on. That's what I would draw from the title of that article.
Yeah, this tool did that to them.
Yes, this is because of the reverse mortgage, their house was foreclosed on. Now, I don't want to get into all of the article. I would suggest people go back and read the article because it kills me. But there are so many different facets of this article that frustrate me, that are absolute terrible journalism. Terrible journalism. It is sensationalism at its worst. But I want to point out just, let me see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs down. Okay, I will actually read the entire paragraph in its entirety for you to tell you how terrible this sounds. These elderly homeowners were wooed into borrowing money through the special program by attractive sales pitches or a dire need for cash, or both. Here's the part. When they missed a paperwork deadline or fell behind on taxes or insurance, lenders moved swiftly to foreclose on their home.
The rest of the story, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. When they fell behind on their taxes or insurance, the lenders moved swiftly to foreclose on the home. I have news for you. Any type of loan that you have, if you don't keep up the taxes and insurance, they can foreclose on you. That is why these people are having their house foreclosed on. They fell behind on their property taxes. That has nothing to do with the reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
It says that they didn't keep up their property taxes. That is why people lose their homes. There was another article. This was in Florida about 3 weeks ago. Well, maybe it was a little longer than that. Maybe it was a couple of months now. But it was a 97-year-old woman. Same thing. They've got this story, and it's on the news, and they have a news camera in front of her, and they're panning around the neighborhood, and they're showing that the house is kind of fall apart a little bit. And this woman's 97 years old. She's having a hard time getting around, and they're talking about how the reverse mortgage has done this to her. But then they ask, and she hasn't paid her property taxes in 4 years. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with the reverse mortgage. So, but that's the article. That's the sensationalism. That's what's, dare I say, sexy for people to look at and want to click on because they've heard reverse mortgages are bad. But then it says right there in the article, if they fell behind on their property taxes or homeowners insurance.
Yeah, completely like irrelevant to the reverse mortgage, right?
Completely.
Had nothing to do with it, but it created a good headline.
Yep.
So yeah, I would encourage any and all that are in the real estate industry that have some opinion about reverse mortgages that is maybe based on headlines like this. You owe it to yourself to go learn the truth about it, right? Obviously, one might say, Jeff, you're biased because you earn an income off of this. Fine.
Absolutely. I'm totally biased.
Totally biased, right? Go.
Yeah, my parents have one. I am absolutely biased. I think they're a great program. But there are times that it's not right. I mean, yeah. I will tell clients, and I will refer clients to traditional forward mortgage loan officers if I don't think that what I'm suggesting for them is a good idea for them. There are times where it's not a good program. It depends on the person's circumstances.
Let's talk briefly here as we kind of wrap up, Jeff. One more thing. So again, in fact, where would you send people? You've obviously created some great resources. Tell us your website where you had mentioned these videos are at. nwreverse.com. if I know how to spell, it should look like that. Type that into your browser, nwreverse.com, and you will find videos that kind of tell the rest of the story. So appreciate you sharing that, Jeff. That's a great resource for everybody. Even send your clients to. I know this audience extends far beyond the Portland area. So whether or not Jeff can service you. In fact, Jeff, can you service people in other parts of the country?
Right now, it's just the state of Oregon. We're working on getting licensed in other states. But I am a reverse mortgage evangelist. I am here to educate people and get people enthusiastic about reverse mortgages. I will answer anybody's questions. I talk to people in all the parts of the country. I will talk to competitors who are trying to get into reverse mortgages. I will do anything I can to educate people about the program, whether it benefits me financially or not. I want to change the stigma about reverse mortgages.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's appropriate and needed. Talk to us really quickly about reverse mortgage for purchase. This is obviously something that applies very directly to real estate. As you know, my mission, my passion is to help real estate agents think bigger by putting them in contact with people like you, because I know when they do, their business grows, and therefore their options and their impact in the world grows. That's what this is all about. So talk to us really quickly about this powerful tool for real estate agents that they really ought to have in their toolbox when it comes to working with people of a certain demographic.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the percentages of people that have purchased homes, I was going to pull up some statistics earlier, but I know the numbers off the top of my head. But they said that 38% of homes that were purchased in 2018 were people that could have qualified for a reverse mortgage. 38% of home purchases. So it's not like if you're a realtor, you're not going to be working with seniors in the near future. You will be. Between them and the millennials, those are the two biggest home buying demographics. So a reverse mortgage is a tool you need to know about. So just very briefly, the qualifications for a reverse mortgage are very simple. They're based on the age. They're based on the home value. You have to be able to prove that you can maintain the property taxes and homeowners insurance. Okay. Realize I said nothing about credit score. Like those, you don't have to prove a borrower has the ability to repay the loan like a traditional mortgage. So the qualifications for reverse mortgage are a whole lot easier. So when you have a buyer that wants to buy a home, let's say they've got $200,000 to put down on a $400,000 house. Traditional wisdom says, okay, I put an offer for a $400,000 house. They're going to put $200,000 down. I need a $200,000 mortgage. Right? So you're going to go to your mortgage broker. They're going to look at their income, their debt to income ratio, their LTV, realize I use those terms and I have absolutely no idea what they mean. But you use those terms and you're trying to find out whether or not that person can qualify to continue making the mortgage payments on a $200,000 mortgage.
Real quick, the reason why Jeff says that is because he doesn't do forward mortgages. Yeah. He only does reverse mortgages. So anyway, continue on, Jeff.
Yeah. So they have to qualify for that traditional mortgage. What people don't recognize is that a reverse mortgage can be that $200,000 financing. That if you've got, a borrower that's 70 years old is trying to buy a $400,000 house, they can put down $200,000. The reverse mortgage can be that extra $200,000 mortgage. That can be their loan. So they can qualify to buy a $400,000 house without making a mortgage payment. And the qualifications are 1,000 times simpler than it is a traditional mortgage, because you don't have to prove that they can qualify to repay that loan. So suddenly you're now making a huge change in people's programs. What I've seen more of, to be perfectly honest with you, is clients that are all cash buyers, that rather than buying a house all in cash, they don't want to tie up all of their funds. So they just want to put down a portion, and then the reverse mortgage makes up the rest, and then they can retain a portion of the sale from the sale of their previous home. So a reverse mortgage becomes a tool that extends and sometimes even doubles their buying power without having to make a mortgage payment. So now realtors have the ability to say, well, you think you can qualify for this, but when you add a reverse mortgage to it, you can actually qualify for this, and you can extend their buying power, and you can increase what the opportunity they have of what they can afford, because now they don't have to make a payment anymore. All they have to do is keep up taxes and insurance and live in the property. Let me reemphasize that, since we just went over the article. They have to keep up their taxes and insurance, but other than that, you can increase their buying power. So it's a phenomenal tool. And on our website, there's a video specifically for reverse mortgages for purchase. All realtors should understand what this is. If you're either representing a buyer or if you have a seller that has an offer that says reverse mortgage, you want to buy that. That's the offer you want to take, because second only to cash, the percentages of them qualifying for a reverse mortgage for purchase, you're not going to have to worry about their ability to not qualify. It's very, very rare. So they're a tool that you absolutely need to know about.
And I think, Jeff, I'll take responsibility. At the beginning of the show, I really kind of outlined this tool as being for people that were ill prepared for retirement, and I misspoke, because as I hear you say this isn't just for people that don't have enough. This is actually a really wise tool to be able to preserve your existing investments. This isn't for people that just have no other option. This is if you're over the age of 60. Is that what you said?
Yep, 62, 60. There is a proprietary program that you can do reverse mortgages as low as 60, but mostly it's about 62 for the FHA program.
So anybody over the age of 62 ought to be at least evaluating this as a potential to double their buying power and potentially even preserve their cash for other purposes, right? Or even keep them in investments. And I would think that this would be a super valuable tool for financial advisors to know about.
Yep. I get a lot of referrals from financial advisors because their job is to make sure that they're keeping their clients, their overhead, their retirement, their nest egg, and saving the nest egg. Yep. And they're getting to the point where they're having to draw out of that nest egg. Well, if you lose the nest egg, there's only so much time that you're going to have left before you're going to be able to afford to pay that. So, or you're going to have that money left over to continue to draw from. So the reverse mortgage supplements that retirement income, even for people. I have clients who own their homes free and clear, that they just want a reverse mortgage line of credit.
Yeah.
So this is not necessarily just for the financially destitute. I have some extremely financially savvy people that are millionaires that want to be able to access the equity in their home to do other things with.
Great stuff, man. All right, last question.
Yeah.
Signature question of the show, which is, you're a big thinker. Obviously, you've built an amazing business. You do as more reverse mortgages than anyone in the country, save about 10 people, right? You've really built an incredible following and offering to the marketplace, built a great business, a great team. What does Jeff Foody do on a regular basis to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your own possibilities and kind of dream bigger and do big things? Teach us what that looks like for you.
Honestly, this may sound a little weird, but I listen to my clients. I listen to my clients because I find that what one borrower, the reason for that one borrower needing to do a reverse mortgage, his need, his why, there are other people that have the same why. Just yesterday, I met with a gentleman by the name of Roger, sat down with him and his wife, and we took an application for him. He's mid-70s, and he's gone back to work as an Uber driver. Now, he doesn't like it's kind of fun. He kind of enjoys being an Uber driver, but he had to go back to work because he couldn't afford his mortgage payment anymore. So that made me start to realize that there are lots of Uber drivers that are out there that are seniors that are working because they have to. And so for me, what I do to think bigger is I listen to my clients and find out what their why is, because if I'm fulfilling a need for their why, that means there's other people that have the same why that I can help reach to.
That's cool. I love it, man. Great stuff. Always learn lots when I get to spend time with you. So I appreciate you coming on today, sharing your expertise, and look forward to getting this out to more people. If by chance this has been beneficial for you, the audience, do Jeff and I a favor. Let us know. Send us a message or comment, share this out with other people. We'd really appreciate it. And one final request I would ask of everybody is, don't be a small thinker. Like, life is too short to think small. Surround yourself with people like Jeff, expand your thinking, and go think bigger. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.